It was perfect. Okay, here we go. All right, we're live.
Okay.
I'm waiting for it to zoom through, and then, so if you done redirecting to Facebook Live. Okay. Thing wrong. Okay. Hi, everybody. It's Wendy from the Sanctuary Radio Show. Welcome. This is the Sanctuary Radio Show Fight the Power edition. And so we are here, and I am talking to one of my really good friends. We call each other Sisters in Power. And she's my soror too, Stefanie James, Stephanie Brown James. Why do I always do that?
People do it all the time. I'm
Hey,
used
girl.
to
Hey,
it.
Stephanie,
girl.
how are you?
I am doing well. I'm doing very well. How are you, sis?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great now. We are in a pandemic. So the last time I was on you and Quentin's show, your awesome husband, I was on your date night live show.
Yes.
And we were like maybe 7 or 8 weeks into the pandemic. Now we're like week 13, 14. How
Crazy.
are you feeling?
I, in this moment, am feeling purposeful.
Yes.
And I'm feeling empowered. And I am really working to focus on the things that I have the control over to change. And everything else, literally giving it to the Lord.
That's it. So you
That's
have
it.
peace. So
That's
y'all,
it.
she just said what it is. That's all
it.
you can do. All you can do is focus on what you can and leave the rest. Because the creator has it, the ancestors have it, the angels
That's right.
and God and everybody got it. So we do our part.
That's right.
We are equipped to do our part.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
how are you feeling?
I was feeling a little anxious yesterday because there's just something every day, you know what I'm saying?
Every day.
I use my tools. Like I know how to keep myself up. You know, I use what they call the emotional scale, and I know how to keep myself from being like low on the scale. I listen to good music, I dance, I walk around, you know, I do my 10,000 steps every day in the morning. I did them this morning.
That's good.
I take my little sea salt baths, and then I watched Insecure and Yvonne Orgy. So do things that make you laugh too. That'll help you.
Yes, I love that. I love that.
Get
Absolutely.
off the damn TV when you can. Stop watching all that death.
Let me tell you, I actually really try not to watch the news. I try to really, figure out pockets of when I watch, because otherwise it's too overwhelming for me. Yeah.
And that's what I tell people. I'm like, you wouldn't drink a little bit of bleach because you know that you consume something that's poisonous. So even just a little bit of that stuff every day, that's poisonous. So you have to be careful on what you consume.
Right. Yep.
However,
absolutely.
Focus on the things that you can control and things that will empower you. And that's where the collective comes in. The collective
that's right.
comes in. We know election 2020 is here. So
yes, it is.
Me, you were there watching the whole Bush dangling Chad situation happen in complete mortification. I was like, what in the hell is
what is happening? Yes.
It happened before our very eyes.
Yes.
Similar to being at Bus Boys and Poets, I'm in Washington, D.C. area. I'm on U Street with my daughter. I'm like, ooh, we're going to have this election. It's going to be fun. It's all festive. And we walked out of there damn near ready to throw up.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And complete disbelief.
In complete disbelief. We know we had done our part. But we don't want to find ourselves on top of this pandemic. On top of when the election season comes, there will be a second wave, be clear. And all this is happening at one time. So Steph, what can we do to prepare ourselves to make sure that we get out this vote, that everybody's vote is counted, that the people who are managing the votes are accountable?
Yes.
Having working processes, working machines, working paper, whatever they're going to have in each district. I want to know about that, but I also want to know from your point of view, what are the key things that we need to do to make sure that we have representation that looks like us, but is authentically caring about our our the things that we care about, our
What we
issues.
care.
All,
Yeah.
all sin folk and kin folk is what my mom used to say back in the day. And we have some of that in office too. We
Very
want to
true.
support the ones who want to support us. So what does that look like for us?
Yeah. So I'll just, and let me just say thank you again, Wendy, for having this conversation that is so timely, of course, because we are in it. I mean, we are 20 weeks away from Election Day. So that is, as you know, no time at all. And so I am co-founder of the collective, along with my husband, Quentin, that you mentioned before. We now have 4 separate organizations that are under our collective banner. So we have our collective PAC, which is what we started as, and that is really focused on making sure we can support Black candidates running for office across the country. We have our Super PAC, which enables us to spend quite a little bit more money, primarily to help candidates with TV ads, radio ads. But then we also have our nonprofit side of the work. So we have our collective education fund, which does a lot of educational activities, our Black Campaign School. And then we have our collective futures organization, which also does a lot of educational stuff. So I say that all to say, because politics comes in various forms. You know, you have your electoral side with your candidates, and then you have your more nonpartisan side with voter registration. So what we are hyper focused on at the collective is making sure we are working towards equal Black political representation. Yes. Currently in this country, over 90% of all elected officials are white. And as you know, Wendy, 90% of this country is not white. So therefore we have deep disparities that exist in political representation, not just for Black folks, but really for all people of color. Right. But also 95% of all prosecutors are white. And as we've seen in the process with so many injustices happening in the criminal justice system, and specifically with Black people, the prosecutor is one of the most important positions in the judicial system, because they are the ones who determine if charges are brought up in cases or how charges are made in cases. And so for 95% of all prosecutors in this country to not be reflective of the community, it's a problem. And so I think it's important for us to keep those 2 stats specifically in mind in this moment, because we have to bring about the change that we seek, to make sure that the laws that are being created by the lawmakers who respect, who value, and who know our communities. So, you know, that comes in the form of having candidates that we can support, that come from our communities, that have policy ideas that will move us forward, but also making sure that we as the voter understand our power in the political process to choose the right people to put in office. Because if we're going to change the laws, which this moment has shown us, there are so many laws on the books or laws that are not on the books that need to be changed, we must change the lawmakers.
Yes, right. So Steph, I have been with you and followed you as you've been transitioning through different things, and now this collective PAC, and I get the emails and I support when I can, and it still was a jumble in my brain.
Yeah.
Still was a jumble in my brain. So there are some very important seats in Georgia for the Senate, right?
Yes.
And for the House and some local.
Yes.
But let's talk about some of those very important seats that people in certain states should know about. So if they had never realized the importance of it, what it can do if these people are elected and how they can help.
Absolutely. So we have on our page on collectivepac.org, we have our list of endorsed candidates. And I'm so proud that over the last 4 years of being an organization, we've been able to raise over $10 million to help our candidates to do our Black Campaign School, which I'll talk about in a little bit, to help prepare new folks to run for office. But we have right now, I would say, a key races to watch that are significantly important in this political landscape. Most important really is around the Senate. And so as I'm sure we've all heard before, but we could all use a little tune up in our civics. You know, Congress has two sides of it. There's the House of Representatives, which currently is being controlled by the Democratic Party. And then you have your Senate, that's being controlled by the Republican Party.
Right.
And so no matter how many great bills and progressive actions and policies are coming out of the House side, unfortunately, so many policies that can move our communities forward are being stopped in the Senate because Republicans under the leadership of Mitch McConnell don't want to see them go forward. And so what we need to do is flip the Senate so that we can have both the House and the Senate be controlled by Democrats. And let me just say this, this isn't necessarily like we're just all in pro-Democrat for everything. This is a situation where there are policies that need to be put forward, like healthcare reform, criminal justice reform, banning assault weapons. There's so many things that need to happen, but they can't because they're getting blocked. Right. So right now, the Democrats need to win 4 additional seats in the U.S. Senate to take control from the Republicans. There are 2 gentlemen who are currently running for Senate that have a strong possibility of helping to flip the Senate. The first is Jamie Harrison out of South Carolina. He is going up against Senator Lindsey Graham. And if you've ever seen Lindsey Graham on TV, all you want to do is like turn him off because he's ridiculous. Yeah. So Lindsey is a young man. He was the first Black person to be chair of the South Carolina Democratic Party. He could, I would say he has probably the most spotlight of any candidate on him currently. So that's Jamie Harrison, South Carolina. The second is Reverend Raphael Warnock, who's actually the senior pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church, which, as I'm sure many of us know, was the home of Dr. Martin Luther King. That's his church home. He is a first-time candidate who is also on the ballot in November, and he secured the endorsement of Ambassador Andrew Young, Stacey Abrams. He's out of Georgia, out of the Atlanta area. He's another person that should be on our must-watch list to help with flipping the Senate.
Okay. So you all who are watching, and then if you're coming back to watch later, I'm going to list these candidates and their social information so that when you go back, you can follow up, right? So if you live in these states where these key races are, you can make sure you vote. But then the other way to support Steph is with them dollars. So let's talk about that.
You said with the ballots?
With the dollars.
With the dollars, yes, baby, definitely with the dollars. Because here's the thing, like so we say at the collective that we get power through organized people and organized money, because money is infused all throughout the political process. And one of the things that we know is Black people receive a significantly less amount of donations and money towards their campaigns than white people do, and almost really less than any other demographic in this country. And so in order for us to help our candidates get a strong leg up when they're running for office, we have to put in our resources to help them be successful. I mean, over $15 billion will be spent on this election season. And if you look at the top 500 political donors in the country, only one of them is Black. So it ain't Oprah, it ain't Michael Jordan, it ain't Robert Smith. We have a significant way to go in order to help fund these candidates. And so the collective PAC has really made it our mission to financially support the candidates that we endorse early and often. And to do what we call bundling. Bundling basically means that, for example, like you said, we'll send an email saying, hey, we're supporting Jackie Gordon, who's running for Congress in New York. Can you help give money to Jackie so she can be successful? And all those donations come in through what's called bundling to help support Jackie's campaign. Because if a person is running in North Carolina or in Cleveland or in Texas, as a collective of Black people who are working to get the equal representation we need in politics, we have to collectively support all of us that are running that have the intention to bring progress to the Black community.
Right. So now let me think about this. For those who maybe have never donated to a campaign before, or who might say they don't have the money to donate to a campaign before, I have donated small pieces. And if I have more, then I do more, but I have donated smaller pieces. So isn't it true that like everything matters, everything counts?
Oh my gosh. Everything matters. Like our average online donation is $37.
Wow. Okay.
And when I tell you $37 adds up,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, like right now, it's like if you think about it, like even if we had 100,000 people give $20, that's a massive amount of money. You know what I mean? Like it's the small dollar donations that fueled the Obama campaign, that fueled a lot of the progressive candidates that have been campaigning currently. Those small dollars are a significant driver to our efforts. And so I don't want anyone to ever think like I only have $5 to give. Great, $5 is perfect. And if you can make it $5 every month and have it just a recurring thing where you don't even miss that $5 coming out of your account, that's even better.
Right. So now I'm thinking like there are other ways, and I'm making this up, so you tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm thinking like there are some organizations, there are some businesses, there are some food, some restaurants and things like that who are publicly supporting and putting lots of money in candidates that are not for our benefit. So if you have been supporting them by going through the drive-through, how about don't go through the drive-through and put your money there? Or how about don't support them at all? You know what I'm saying?
That. Yeah,
and so
absolutely.
There are ways that you can find a few dollars for your future. Because if you're thinking about this,
right.
Our lives are on the line at this point.
Yes.
You know?
And one of the I would say, we look at it as a service, like being in service to the community by helping to introduce you to candidates you probably would not have heard of before.
Right.
And to go through, so the candidates that come to us for endorsement or that we find that we recruit to run, they have to go through a candidate endorsement process where they complete a 40-question questionnaire, which gives us a sense of their policy ideals, their values. You know, do they believe in public and having money going towards public education? Do they believe that, you know, we need to have access to the ballot? You know, there's a series of questions that we ask, because again, just because a Black person is running doesn't mean that they are working to progress the Black community through policies. And so we want to make sure that we vet these folks. And once we do that, we provide information on our website about the candidates so that you can give to them directly. You can learn more about them. You can follow them on social media. And that's why it's always also helpful for us when people can recommend, hey, did you know so-and-so is running in this city or this town? So then it helps us to research that person and then put them again on our endorsement list so that other people can see how they can support them as well. Because we ain't got time to do that work on our own. You know, I get that. Like it's hard to research people.
Right. So your endorsement list. What are all your social media handles? Where are all the places people can find you, read more about the campaigns, who these key races are, how they can give you some money to support these cases, but then also the endorsement list, like, because I wouldn't know. I know Lucy McBath because she's my sorority sister from Alpha Eta, which is Virginia State. So we know about her, and we know that her seat, they're gunning for her seat.
She's probably so Lucy McBath, as you mentioned, she's out of Georgia. I would say that she is probably the most targeted race of the GOP to get her out of her seat. She's in Georgia 6, right outside of Atlanta. She won 50.5% of the vote, just enough for her to win in this district that had been redrawn based off of demographic changes. And so we have to make sure that Lucy McBath stays in office, just like Lauren Underwood in Illinois. To get information about the collective, our candidates, to donate, you can go to collectivepac.org. So that's collectivepac.org. All of our information about our candidates is on the website, our link to donate. And the thing I want to point out about the donate is the way we have it. Let's say you have $50 and you want to give $5 to the collective and $45. You can pick certain candidates that you want to give to. If you have like, a specific like, oh, okay, I want to really support this person, or you can give the $50 and we'll be able to distribute it amongst our candidates. And so our social media handles on IG and Twitter is at Collective PAC. Okay. On Facebook is at The Collective PAC. Mine pretty much across all platforms is at Steph, STEF Brown James. Definitely please follow us. We are working to generate more content that is not just about our candidates, but also about how the law works, who are the decision makers to make the laws. One of the things that in this time, the voter education piece is so important because we're talking about all these criminal justice and police reform measures. And so much of that starts with the police chief.
Yep.
And guess who picks the police chief? The mayor. And guess who votes on the mayor? You do. So the role that we have to play in picking the people that choose the policies is significant. And we want to make sure that folks understand that power and utilize it by registering to vote and by turning out the vote.
Right. So now you have an initiative, Justice for All.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
Yep. So we have our new Justice for All campaign, which really is it's a fund, and the fund is designed to make sure we are supporting Black candidates who are running for office in the, for lack of a better word, the judicial criminal justice arena. So when you look at, like I mentioned, the 95% of all prosecutors are white. Mm-hmm. Positions like your DA, your prosecutor, your attorney general, judges, those are oftentimes where we see the greatest disparities, and they're not being racial diversity. And so in the wake of all that's been happening, we wanted to make sure that at this time we can support these candidates these Black candidates that are running for these positions. But also a second part to the Justice for All Fund is that we are calling on policy prescriptions that will advocate that our states, our cities actually require officers to live in the communities that they serve. We need to promote community policing. Yeah. We want to make sure that special prosecutors for any use of force case are actually appointed so that we can have impartiality. And so, we're working to have both an advocacy side to the Justice for All Fund, but also make sure that we are supporting the Black candidates that are working to put these changes in place in the criminal justice system.
Yeah, I think that's definitely important, specifically community policing, coming from this, the place that you're policing. I actually grew up with a person from the 6th grade. He went through the police academy. When we were in college, he was in the police academy. And then he was a part of his community for 25 years. He only just retired in March. And that was very impactful to the people around. Now, if you were doing some raggedy stuff, you were going to get it because you ain't supposed to be doing that. But he was able to be a mouthpiece for those who didn't live in the community, to be able to make sure that all of the circumstances were understood. There was more compassion and things like that. So I know it's pretty tough if you don't live in the environment and you think you're coming in to police criminals.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And that's not a no-brainer. You know what I mean? Like there's so many changes that need to be made that are just no-brainers. But it starts with having people who are running for these positions, who are in office, who get it. Yeah. And it's easier for you to get what your community needs when you are in the community. Like, I can't come to your house, Wendy, and be like, ma'am, what should I give Sid for breakfast today?
Right.
How should I make sure, Sid is prepared for school? Sid ain't my daughter. Right. She's like my niece, but Sid's not my daughter. Do you know what I mean? So I can't give her the best and what she needs because I am not in her home. Right. And so we need to have people that are in our homes deciding, how much money is going to textbooks for public schools. Who is deciding cases that are getting prosecuted? Do we have clean running water in our communities? If you don't live there, you don't have that sense of community. Right. And also the respect for the community and the understanding of the community to create the policies and the laws that we need to have a strong, functioning, safe community for all of us.
Now, Steph, I know you have the Black Campaign School and then the Black Policy School. So tell us about that. Like, if we know, like, I went to this, to the Martin Luther King Memorial with Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, I guess it was her age range, the early college kids, but the high school kids, they were on fire. I was out there like, because I felt like they had some very clear demands. They had some very clear issues that they wanted to have addressed. And I feel like some of those kids were standouts. Like they should be running for office at some point. I don't know what but so what would you tell somebody how to get into the Black Campaign School, or how would they, and what do you do there to help prepare these leaders for their positions?
Mm-hmm. And so and it's so funny because you're the second person I think this week to have brought up that the importance of young people being trained and mobilized in this moment. I mean, I actually, when I was 14, I joined the NAACP, the local youth council in Cleveland, and that really was my trajectory into civil rights, social justice, civic engagement, the work that I do, because I was trained as a young person, came up and was really supported by so many elders who instilled in me the civil rights tradition of organizing. Because I know the importance of, even with young people, helping them to understand the system, because civics isn't being taught like it needs to.
No.
You know, understanding how the branches of government works, reading historical ways in which Black people and people in this country and around the globe have protested and have really worked to organize for change to happen. Yeah. I think that level of education is especially important for young people. Yeah. But with regards to the Black Campaign School, it is designed to specifically help Black people who are currently running for office or considering a soon run for office, or Black folks who want to work on a political campaign and be a campaign operative. It's designed to help them learn the tools, the tricks, the resources to run, but through a Black perspective. So fundraising as a Black woman is going to be different than fundraising as a white woman. There's different things that you need to consider. We have conversations like, when I'm on the campaign trail, can I wear my hair in a wrap? You know, we get down, how do I have a conversation with my wife and kids that I'm about to be on the road for the next 2 months running for office? You know, so we try to have those nuanced conversations to make sure that we're training in a way that's culturally authentic and culturally receptive to where folks are. Over the last 3 years, we've trained over 1,000 Black people. Our next Black camp, and let me just say this, we have a phenomenal partnership with 3 Point Strategies, which is led by Jessica Bird, who is a brilliant organizer. She's our lead organizer and trainer for the Black Campaign School. The next ones will be in August and September, so I'll make sure I share that with you, Wendy. And then this fall, we're actually launching our Black Policy School, which is completely new, and that's designed to help current Black lawmakers get trainings on how to be a better leader in service, and to talk through different policy ideas that they could share amongst each other.
Okay, I love that. So, you know, the best to you. I'm so happy that somebody is thinking about that, because I have to go somewhere today and I had a head wrap on and I was thinking, should I be wearing this head wrap today? But I'm like, I'm gonna wear my head wrap today. You know what I'm saying? It's like you got a coach, which is like you got to know how to move depending on where you are.
You're right.
But so my mom is older, and we were talking about politics, and she's always going to go out and vote. She's always done it. I remember going in there with her to the old raggedy firehouse with the old machine, and she let me press the button. I remember all those things. But it's like she is totally not going out in them streets. That is totally not her thing. She said, why don't you and Sydney think about stuffing envelopes? And so I wonder, what do you do for people who don't engage in social the way that, you know, the game has started to come up since, I guess, Obama was the first like social person who really had that good game together. What do you say to older people? Like, how is somebody going to know about South Carolina or Georgia if they're not online and they're older?
Well, you know what? We're launching our Vote to Live campaign on Thursday, which
Okay.
is designed our goal is to register 250,000 Black people to vote in this election.
Okay.
We now have to pivot strategies from being a field on the ground game to doing everything virtual with Corona.
Yeah.
And so as a part of our campaign, we will be doing a huge mail effort where we can, especially for those older households, be able to send them mail to make sure they know, hey, check your voter registration status, because they're definitely purging a lot of older voters and Black folks from the polls. This is where you can, this is information on how you can vote by mail, because the laws are rapidly changing across the country. And, I think people don't realize that it's a state by state decision on how elections are implemented in your state. That doesn't come from the federal government. That comes from your state deciding when your primaries are, if you're going to have vote by mail, what are the protections at the voting booth to make sure that this is a process that's secure. So all that kind of stuff is at the state level, which is why when we see in Georgia with Governor Kemp, who continues to go against the process, is so egregious, this man. We see long lines for voting because they don't have enough polling locations or they have broken machines. And so these are all state decisions. So, I would also just say, this is the importance of everything starts at home. We got to talk to our grandmas and our uncles and our cousins and make sure that we're checking in with home first. Let me call you and be like, hey, have you checked your voter registration status? If not, go to votelive.org and you can register to vote. You know what I mean? Or hey, let me do it for you. Let me help you register to vote. We got to really focus on home. And I think that if we look at our inner circle first to get them empowered, that'll just, again, multiply the collective power of all of us in this moment.
Right. Okay. So we're going to wrap it up, but I want to give just a few steps. So you just said, check your elders' voter registration. I never thought about that, but I'm going to have my mom check hers today.
Yes.
I thought she'd be good because she's been good, but no. So they've been purging. And then I need to check my own, I guess, huh?
Yes, so you need to check your own. Absolutely. You need to check your own. And don't forget that if a young person will be 18 by the elections, they can register to vote.
Sydney is so upset. Her birthday is November 15th.
Wow. Oh.
18 years old. Oh, she's so upset because she got stuff to say. You know what I'm saying?
But the beauty is then that means that Sid has a lot of 18-year-old friends or friends that will be 18 that she can encourage them to vote. She can use her platform for that. So so votelive.org will be a resource where people can go and you can check your registration status. We have a partnership with Rock the Vote to help with that, to gain that information. We're specifically going to be working with Black churches through our Black Church 75 initiative to help them actually utilize their membership roster to find out who in their congregation is not registered to vote so that they can have the tools to then help them directly be able to vote.
Now, is there a deadline by which you have to be registered? What's the deadline?
State by state.
Oh, so check your state.
State by state. So you can go to, there's a couple of sites that I like to go to. I mean, one is you should definitely check out your state Secretary of State's website. Your Secretary of State is the person that determines the voting laws along with your state legislature, but they're the ones that implement the voter law. So go to your Secretary of State's website to get information about your specific voting stuff. You can also go to Ballotpedia to get information about candidates. You can also get information about voting there. That's a good resource. You can go to the collectivepact.org. You can go to Fair Fight is an initiative that Stacey Abrams has, and Fair Count to talk about the census. So, there's so many resources, and I'll make sure I'll send you some links, Wendy, so you can put them up for folks.
Put them up. And then what is your thought about if Biden really does get a Black woman as a VP running mate? What do you think?
I think it would be phenomenal. Absolutely. But I also want us all to be prepared that no matter what, we must vote.
Yeah.
Because there's so many narratives out right now about, you know, what Biden owes us, what the Democratic Party owes us. I don't disagree with any of that.
Yeah.
I am hyper focused though on making sure that also we understand that the majority of the laws that impact your daily lives, it's through local and state policies.
Right.
That you feel those laws affect the most. Definitely the federal level is important. Definitely the presidential is hyper important because Trump has to go. But I would just say, like, let's also just stay focused on like the bigger goal of vote for you. You know what I mean? Vote for the person that's gonna put the laws that you need to thrive in place.
Right.
But I do think that, you know, I think it'll be a great help for Biden if he were to choose a Black woman running mate. But, you know, we'll see. I think there'll be a decision coming in, you know, next few weeks.
Oh yeah, in the next few weeks. Okay, I see Moses McClendon said that people need to be educated to what applies to them in their area, and you just said that, so that is very important.
Very important.
Who's running for the school board? Who's making the laws around in your town? So look at your own city website.
That's right. That too.
Or all those things to see what's happening in your state. So Steph, any last words? I am going to put up at least your website for places to go and a few of the candidates that they can look at. And then later I will update it with these other resources that you tell me.
Cool.
But what are your last thoughts about, you know, this whole thing?
You know, my last thoughts is, like, I know that, like, my line sisters and I have started to have like sometimes we have like a happy hour on Fridays, like with Zoom. And I think if you have your crew and somebody says, you know, okay, I'm going to check the Secretary of State's website and I'm going to check this city's like, utilize your crew to get information, because it can be a lot for you to try to get all that yourself. Like when we are able to go back outside, you know, and you have a community crew, somebody should be going to the school board meeting and somebody should be going to city council meeting and somebody should, you know what I mean? Like break it up, like share the information amongst your crew to make it where it's not so overwhelming to try to get this info, but that you're able to just really share it amongst your own personal collective. I think we need to share more, to bring more together.
Yes, well, that's a great way to end. I love you.
Love you.
I love Q. I'm so happy that you all are. I feel very safe and very empowered myself, knowing that you all are at the helm of this, and
Appreciate
that are keeping it down for us in this way. I'll do the health stuff, but you got this part. So I'm just grateful that you do. And please, you all, please, thecollectivepact.org. Please go and donate. Check your mama and them status. Check your status. Please check the status. Nobody gets slipped the okie doke at the last minute and then we're upset. This our lives depend on it. Now is the time.
Right.
No one is coming to save us. We are the ones we've been waiting for. So
that's right.
Be there.
Yay.
November 3rd. Right?
That's right.
November 3rd.
That's right.
Check out all your local elections, whatever might be happening, special elections and all these things. Those things happen too, so be aware. So thank you, Steph. I look forward
to thank you, Wendy.
And I'll talk to you next time.
All right, give my best to Sydney.
All right.
Love you.
Peace.
All right, bye-bye.